Yo, these youngins don't move like we used to. Ain't throwing Sunday barbecues like we used to. Why don't they ever keep it cool like we used to? Why don't they just stay true like we used to? Hey yo, these youngins don't move like we used to. Ain't throwing Sunday barbecues like we used to. Why don't they ever keep it cool like we used to? Why don't they just stay true like we used to? Like we used
Moving
to.
in the slab down the street on some slow shit, 2 miles an hour, so everybody notices.
Our senses, right? We can see, taste, touch, smell, and hear.
In my element, on a level you never been. Where you at is irrelevant, do what you never done, and I done what you never did, and my greatness is evidence. When it comes to the money, this isn't a game. I ain't making monopoly funds, don't run from a hater. Pull up with the heaters and hop out like you hit the block with the sun. Who you know sharper than one? I'm smoking all the competition like a prime time. I'm spitting that Gucci, that Fendi, that Prada, and dropping these top of the line rhymes. Them line rhymes like dimes, cause in my mind there's no contest to these metaphors and these concepts. I got them feeling so hard pressed, they won't press back cause they harmless. Right-handed but I got a strong left, you can't handle these paws that I spar with. And like hammers I bang on your forehead and they all vexed cause I'm all next. Got them panicking like it's a bomb threat, cause the shit that I'm spitting is hitting so hard that the damage is so river cortex.
Your cerebral cortex, your fucked up cerebellum.
Hey, welcome to Dangerous Thoughts. I'm your host, Mickey Sun. This is my co-host, Mr. Tyson Strasberg. We would usually blah, 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 and blah, 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 and like and subscribe and all that crap that we usually would start the show with. And me and Tyson would talk about the week and what happened. But tonight we have L.A. Marzulli, who is one of the most interesting guests that personally we've had on the show that I personally love. I love his work. This guy has studied everything from UAPs to fairies to UFOs to he's a biblical. I don't know if he's a biblical scholar. I'll ask him. But this guy has really been in the deep waters of fringe sciences and science against the mainstream, or not against the mainstream, but alternative to the mainstream. So I've got a ton of questions for this guy, and I wish I could roll the drums and blow smoke and make a huge celebration for L.A. Marzulli. Do we have his trailer yet before he comes on? No?
Yet.
All right. So we might show you a trailer to his recent film, Watchers 10. He's made 20 films and like 14 books that you can get. Check all his stuff out in the description below, but watch the show first and then go check his stuff out. Let's bring him on right now, Mr. L.A. Marzulli. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
Great to have you. So we were talking a little bit backstage about, I asked you right off the bat if you were a Christian. You said, you laughed like, yes, absolutely. But you study, what I find very interesting, some of the stuff that you're looking at is the Nephilim. Could you give us a brief history? Would you consider yourself a biblical scholar first?
Well, it depends. I mean, I did not go to seminary. I don't speak Greek or Hebrew.
Okay.
Am I a biblical scholar? In some respects, yes, but I'm not a theologian. There's a difference between a scholar and a theologian. I'm not a theologian. So if I'm getting into some deep stuff, I will go to a friend of mine, Mando Gonzalez, who is a theologian, and I will ask him, what about this? And we'll, argue and banter back and forth and over one word and try to figure out what that word really means.
Hey, Latin counts. If you speak Latin, that counts.
Yeah. And how often do you find yourself reading the Bible? Do you go to church? I mean,
I'm a student of the biblical prophetic narrative.
Cool. All right, cool.
I read it continuously every day. And
Awesome.
There are certain scriptures that I memorize to keep in my quiver, as it were.
Okay, so you told me right before the show that one of your eye-opening things that got you into studying the Nephilim and looking for actual physical evidence of biblical stories was this book by I.D.E. Thomas, The Omega Conspiracy. And tell us a little bit about that. You said it was the key to you understanding the Bible. Why?
Because if you sit down and you start reading the biblical narrative, unless a person is really savvy and understands what Genesis 3:15 is, then when they get to Genesis 6, the flood of Noah, they're going like, wait a minute, why does this God of the Old Testament destroy everybody with a flood? What did these guys do that was so horrible? And you don't understand. Then you get to the Tower of Babel, same thing. Why is he confusing a language? What do these people do? They're just building a skyscraper. Who cares? Then you get to Abraham and the 5 kings. what's going on here? Then you get to Sodom and Gomorrah, and it's like, oh my gosh, this guy wipes
God
out
is a
the whole
dick.
town? Who is this guy? And then you get to the promised land when Joshua and Caleb come in, and the mandate is kill them all, men, women, children, animals, burn them all. It's like, wait a minute, I can't do this. This God of the Old Testament is somebody really weird. Jesus, I totally get Jesus, but this guy here, clueless. It'd be 10 years. 10 years. And I'm by this time I came to the Lord when I was 30. So 10 years wondering about all this stuff. I finally get the book by Dr. I.D.E. Thomas, and it opens up the entire Bible to me.
And
And
what was,
that
what was
is
the key?
where
What was the
Because
key?
he talks about the seed war. He talks about the fallen angels coming down, mixing their seed, having sex with the women, and creating a hybrid being known as the
the
Nephilim.
Nephilim. Right.
Awesome. He actually has. Is that the actual skull from Watchers 10?
It's a model that the late
Model?
Joe Taylor did, but these are 1-to-1, and we can walk through this. But
Okay.
the bottom line is once a person understands the seed war, Genesis 3:15, all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, now I get it.
And that is where that is where the fallen angels and kind of soils humanity. I don't want to say soils humanity. I don't know what the right word is, but now I have some questions. Like the giants were supposedly Nephilim, right? Which David and Goliath.
Goliath was a Nephilim, but we also know that there's genetic tampering with all this stuff. I mean, look at the orbits. There's like 25% larger than a normal.
Huge eyes. Yeah.
Huge eyes, right. So I mean, this is a really, again, we got 45 minutes. I have 30 films and 14 books. We're gonna. So I got to.
Yeah. So I was trying to say, just give us a brief history of the Nephilim.
Genesis 3:15 is the gateway to the Bible. If we don't understand Genesis 3:15, we don't understand the Bible. And here's something to think about. I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on. Conspiracy theory. Harvard University and Yale University used to be bastions of Christian thought. They're not anymore. Why is that? Because liberal professors came in and completely turned everything upside down. In the same way, seminaries over 100 years ago were this whole idea of the Sethite theory, which was invented by man around the 4th century, completely changed the biblical narrative. So there's two things. The pastor, the seminarian who's going to become a pastor, never understands the seed war, never understands Genesis 3:15. Therefore, he's completely ignorant to the rest of the Bible. He has no idea what the center of the Bible really is about. That's the first thing. The second thing is you make sure they never read the book of Enoch, even though Jude, who's Jesus' brother, quotes the book of Enoch. He quotes the book of Enoch, which means, if you're going to quote something, it's part of your wheelhouse. It's part of who you are. So the bottom line is this, Genesis 3:15, okay? And this is just an amazing deal. Adam and Eve have just sided with the dragon. They are terrified. They are absolutely terrified because they're hiding from the Lord. They used to walk with the Lord in the cool of the evening. Not anymore. They're hiding from him. They know something has changed, but can they articulate it? Of course not. But they know something really dramatic has changed in them. They're not who they used to be a few short hours ago. So you've got the dragon over here. You've got Adam and Eve over here. And in the center, you've got the pre-incarnate Christ. Jesus is there in the garden. That's who's walking with them in the garden. And he turns to the dragon, Satan, and he goes, your seed, your offspring, I'll say it again, your seed, your offspring will be at war with the offspring of the woman. The one coming from the woman, the proto-evangelium, will crush your head, you'll bruise his heel. It's the whole Bible. 3 chapters later in Genesis 6, the sons of God, who are the fallen angels, come to earth. They procreate. They take wives from whomever they wish, and they go into them in the biblical sense, and they create hybrid beings. These are the Nephilim. And guess what? There's no soul in these guys.
Really?
They have no soul.
Does that mean they're evil? Are they bad? Are all the Nephilim bad guys, you think?
All the Nephilim are in a fixed state. They are cannibalistic. They are sexually deviant. And we know this from the historical record. Even over here with the Native Americans, talking about the red-haired, 6-fingered giants. This is like thousands of years after the flood. They're here. They're here in the Americas. My work has proven this. My work with Chief Joseph Riverwind and other First Nation people, the red-haired, six-fingered giants, we're over here.
Well, I saw this brilliant thing. Let me let the people know. I watched his recent film Watchers 10, and there are some people in Watchers 10 that were in Afghanistan, a full crew of military, hot shit military people, SEALs. Maybe they weren't SEALs, but they were a team of badasses. And they came upon this 15-foot giant that actually speared one of the men in the crew, in the unit. Sorry, I'm not military smart, but killed this guy named Dan, what the guy referred to him as. And then a helicopter came and took this 15-foot giant off to nowhere. And everybody that in the battle with this giant that came out of this cave had to rewrite their reports and not talk about it. So something is hiding their existence on this planet to this day. Still, what do you think that is, and why do you think they're hiding that from us?
Well, I'll tell you, my work on the Nephilim, and you say Watchers 10, that's actually a long time ago. Since then, there's 20 other films that came through that.
Okay, I jumped into the middle of the book.
So this is On the Trail of a Nephilim, right? This is the big book, On the Trail of a Nephilim. So I'm out on Catalina Island because I get wind of something. I find this picture right here. See that giant right there?
Yeah, I was blown away.
That's a 9-footer. That's a 9-footer. What's that doing out on Catalina Island? You tell me.
So they're still alive today, the Nephilim. I always thought that they were extinct. You're saying Nephilim live today?
Well, what
about,
those
military folks are.
What about the giant of Kandahar? That's what you're speaking about.
Yeah, the Kandahar giant.
Wow.
Giant of Kandahar. So we go back to the museum. Okay, what's wrong with this picture?
The bottom half is chopped off of it.
Right. And what's the bottom half? This is in the museum, folks. This is in the museum. Why would they deliberately crop the giant out of the picture?
Yeah,
it goes against everything that they believe. And so nothing you see here, keep moving.
So do you believe that the Nephilim are still around and have an agenda and or working with some of our elites? Or
okay, there's another scripture. Okay, so Genesis 3:15 is thousands of years ago. 2,500 years ago, there was a prophet by the name of Daniel. So when he's talking to this entity, this Elohim, which just means a spiritual entity, that's all it means. He's talking to one of the Elohim, which is an angel. And the angel tells him, Daniel, seal up the words to the book until the time of the end. And then he tells us what the time of the end will look like. Men and women, remember it's 2,500 years ago, men and women will run to and fro over the face of the earth, and knowledge will increase. If you were to go 2,500 years ago and track knowledge, it's flatlined till Gutenberg's printing press, 1430, 1440. And then we start the slow, gradual, things begin to change. Then the Industrial Revolution, then the modern era in the 20th century, and everything goes through the roof. We enjoy the modern era because of the last 100 years. That's where it all kicked in. So knowledge will increase. Men and women will run to and fro over the face of the earth. As we are speaking, men and women are running to and fro over the face of the earth. So that scripture, that prophecy has been fulfilled. The time of the end is now, because the angel tells Daniel what the time of the end will look like. And then he tells him, seal it up. No one will understand what you're talking about till the time of the end. That book has been sealed up until modernity. Daniel chapter 2, verse 43. And when I say that, it's just like going to, Moby Dick, turn to chapter 5, go to page 132, and then you can read about, Queequeg or whatever. It's just an address. That's all it is. So in Daniel 2:43, he says this, the angel tells Daniel, their seed will mingle with the seed of men, but they will not cleave to them. Let's walk through it quickly.
What's cleave?
Cleave.
They won't marry or stay with.
Cleave is married. And I got that from marriage. I got that from Jim Williamson. So there's no marriage. Like Genesis 6, where they're coming down, the fallen angels are coming down and taking wives and copulating them and creating a Nephilim. There's no marriage contract. Welcome to the modern day abduction phenomenon. Okay.
Oh,
Their
they're
seed-
taking our seed.
That's right. Their seed.
Oh.
Their seed. Who are they? Who are they? Their seed will mingle with the seed of men. Who are they? It's not men. So who is it?
Can I
So
ask
you,
you some real
this is
quick question?
brilliant. I will, Tyson, but this, I'm
Okay.
sorry, I keep cutting you off. But this, all right. So he's getting into UFOs and UAPs, right? So, and the abduction phenomenon. You think these are the Nephilim, and these are their ships, and their purpose with the cow mutilations, and all this comes together to them trying to breed with us again, or create?
We have 10 films on the UFO phenomenon. My business partner and I, Gil Zimmerman, 10 flippin' films. Everything from close encounters of the first, second, third, fourth kind, abductions, crop circles, cattle mutilations, 2 films on Roswell. And then finally, what is the truth? Because there's only 2 paradigms. These are either extraterrestrials from some faraway planet like Epsilon Eridani, or they're interdimensional entities with a very nefarious agenda. And of course, I hold to the latter. When you abduct a 5-year-old boy and implant him with a chip, that's kidnapping, rape, and you're abusing him on every level. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? How can anybody possibly give that 2 thumbs up? When you take a 6-year-old girl and subject her to the most horrific, sadistic sexual experimentation over her in the ship, these are not our warm, friendly space brothers. If they were, give me a flipping cure to cancer, for crying out loud.
Yeah, help us
something
out.
that I can grab onto. No. It's a breeding program. Their seed will mingle with the seed of men.
What's happening with the kids?
Well, they're creating hybrids,
and they're keeping them wherever they're hiding.
They're actually manifesting. They're here. They're walking amongst us.
They're walking amongst us.
Now this is the perfect time for my question.
Yeah.
A Nephilim is an angel bred with a human, right? The byproduct is a Nephilim.
The offspring.
Now, what about the offspring of that offspring? Say that offspring, so you're a quarter Nephilim, an eighth Nephilim, and at some point through history, you're 1/1000th Nephilim. Is there a point at which you're no longer Nephilim, or is that little piece always there? How does that work?
Okay, this is conjecture. I believe that the hybrids, the Nephilim, thousands of years ago, could not reproduce. They were like mules. That's conjecture. We're not completely positive of that, but that's conjecture, that they were basically sterile. They weren't able to reproduce. The hybrid beings today, okay, they can reproduce. They're obsessed with having sex with human beings. I mean, look, our research is, let me just tell you a quick story.
This is dangerous thoughts to get as dangerous as you want to get.
This is as dangerous as you can possibly get.
All right, good.
There's a man, and I talk about it in the On the Trail of a Nephilim book. So he wakes up one night and there are 2 female hybrids, and he's paralyzed in bed, and they rape him. First, the one female hops on him and rapes him. Then the second one rapes him, getting the seed. Their seed will mingle with the seed of men. Next morning, he wakes up. His lower extremities are on fire. He realizes there are 2 platinum blonde hairs on his chest. He has the presence of mind to take the hair and get them analyzed. And in my book, On the Trail of a Nephilim, we did this. We analyzed the 2 hairs. We took a hair from a 2,000-year-old mummy, basically this guy, and actually it wasn't this guy, but it was one very similar to him. We had red hair, and we took the hair from him, and we took the 2 blonde hairs from this man who had been essentially raped, and we ran it through a spectrometer. And what it showed, we had 4 hairs. We had a control sample from a human hair. Okay, that's a control sample. We had a dyed human hair. Then we had the 2,000-year-old mummy hair, and then we had the 2 platinum hairs. So the control sample just goes like this. Here's the graph. It goes up and out just like that. The dyed hair kind of does this kind of a thing and disappears. But the mummy hair from 2,000 years ago, so here's the mummy hair. Here's the platinum blonde. It goes like this. It tracks. It completely tracks as it goes up.
What do you mean? These 2 hairs are genetically
thousands of years apart. there's a
There's
connection.
similarities and a connection throughout the ages.
Correct. And that was absolutely astounding when we got that information.
Okay, so Tyson had an interesting question before we started the show, but you just hit me with the yellow hairs, and so I'm into the UAP field. I'm not like a specialist or anything, but I know who the Nordics are, and they say they're blonde-haired, blue-eyed giants. They look very much like us, but they're in the UFO lore. And those blonde hairs sound to me like the Nordics. Do you think it's possible that both things are happening, that we're being visited by other star systems, and that this ancient war of gods is going on? Could they both be occurring?
Great question. In my opinion, and I'm going to throw a massive curveball at you, there are scientists who are looking at the universe and wondering, are we in a hologram? Is this a holographic universe? Which makes a lot of sense, actually, because these entities that come in manipulate space, time, matter, and energy in ways that defy our physics. I do not believe in the plurality of worlds. I do not believe that there's life out there. I think this is it. I'm not sure what this is, but I think we're living in some kind of a very, very, very special holographic type universe. And
so you subscribe to simulation theory. This is some kind of spiritual simulation where we're learning something here. But
we're real. We have souls. We live and we die. Our souls and our spirits go elsewhere, when we die, because you can't destroy that. Our bodies lay in the earth. And then
there's
go ahead.
I have a question now. Nephilim. I guess here's my question. Angels and demons, if you want to talk about a race, let's say a race, are the same race. Demons are fallen angels. So if you were to look at an angel and demons, they're not.
No.
What? Okay.
What's a demon?
Do tell. What's the difference?
Let me walk through that. A lot of people.
Because Satan was an angel, so I'd love to hear this.
Okay, so here, let me move this back so I have some more max headroom. So here's the deal. Here's the deal. Fallen angel comes down and mates with a human woman. Fallen angel, human woman. They mate. The offspring are the Nephilim.
Right.
Okay? Soulless.
Got that.
The disembodied spirit of the Nephilim. The disembodied spirit of the Nephilim are demons, and they are earthbound.
But isn't a spirit and a soul very similar? Like, how are they different? I mean, if it's a life after death, eternal existence.
Only God can give a soul. Tyson, you have a soul. I have a soul. Manu has a soul. We all have souls.
Well,
the Nephilim do not have souls. They are.
So they're stuck in the afterlife, but without.
But they have spirit.
They have spirit. They have a spirit from their father, the fallen ones.
Okay. So I guess another question is, why are they biologically compatible with humans? I would think that an angel wouldn't have the.
Behold, mankind has come like one of us. I mean, come on. Are there angel girls? I mean, can the angels reproduce amongst themselves without getting human women?
No,
like
you went to my lowest question in
clearly. I mean, an angel
do they have dicks?
sperm.
Do they have vaginas?
This is dangerous thoughts.
Yes.
They're copulating. I don't know how else to say that politely. They're copulating.
This is a very deep question, because it makes one wonder how this works. We know from the biblical prophetic narrative that 3 men appear to Abraham. 2 are angels. They're sent into Sodom and Gomorrah. The third man is the pre-incarnate Christ. That's who he is. It's Jesus appearing to Abraham. They sit down and they eat food. So they're not phantoms. They appear as men. Now the question is that their real appearance, or have they shapeshifted? Metaskis modicai. Have they changed their appearance so they will be accepted to Abraham? And I don't have all the answers to that, nor does anyone else. We know that when an angel appears, when angelos just means messenger. When these Elohim That's a spiritual entity. I love these guys on the other side. Oh, the Elohim. Oh my God, the Bible's wrong. Oh, Elohim just means spiritual entity. Wake up. Are you kidding me? Has nothing to do with what these guys are promulgating at all. So when an Elohim appears in their true form, people just do a face plant. Boom. Short circuits. Can't even deal with it. They're overwhelmed by the power. Daniel's a perfect example of that. It says in the biblical narrative, I fell on my face. The modern day vernacular for that is he did a face plant.
Yeah,
but there's no humor in the Bible, right? Daniel does a flipping face plant because he goes, boom. And the angel goes, oh, I hate when this happens. He goes over and he goes, sorry, Dan, it's always happening. Let's try to make it. And he tries to get Daniel up, and now he's on all fours. I'm not making this up. It's right there.
So they become a physicality that we can relate to, humanistic, but minus the brilliance that their true nature really is.
Supposedly, according to the guy that got taken in the mountains, I can't think of his name right now, with all those loggers. Travis Walton. These things are beautiful. Beautiful.
I sat down with Travis.
What'd he say about the Nordics?
I'm not going to break his confidence, but I'll just say that we're not buying that. We're not buying that.
No, not even the blonde ones that gassed him when they put him out.
Look, here's the deal. If these, I'll say it again, if these were wonderful beings from some faraway planet, give us the cure to cancer. But that's not what they do. They take, they rape, they perform really sadistic, horrific experimentation on 6-year-old girls and boys.
Well, Walton says, and at least in the book, and you've gotten to talk to the man, I'm so jealous, but he says that when he woke up, there were the gray-looking things were over him and experimenting him and doing foul things to him.
Right.
But then when he ran and went through the ship for a while, he ran into the blonde-haired, blue-eyed ones that had spacesuits on, and they gassed him, and then he woke up on the side of the road 7 days later. But not even those, he said, were good-looking. He just said they were human-like.
Those are the hybrids.
Those are the hybrids. Okay, those are okay.
They're in a fixed state. They're in a fixed state. They are soulless. They're in a fixed state. Here's something to think about. They never get the eyes right. The eyes are the windows to the soul. Black-eyed kids, moon eyes, they never get the eyes right because there's no soul there. And how many abductees have I talked to that tell me the same thing? It's like they have no soul. How many times have I heard that? It's like they have no soul. They have no soul. Only God can give a soul. What we're looking at is the seed war, which goes back to Genesis 3:15. Jesus, 2,000 years ago, tells us it'll be like the days of Noah when I return. Think about that. Just let that sink in.
I don't want to.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, the rainbow said there's no more flood. So days of Noah, just long as no flood is.
But there's no flood, but it's like the days of Noah. What differentiates the days of Noah? The fallen angels doing what? Mixing the seed. What's going on now? Mixing the seed. Right
now, you said there's no extraterrestrial, right? Aliens that live on other planets, etc. So these Nephilims, these UFOs, are well. First of all, I'm assuming that a Nephilim doesn't die unless they're killed. Like they don't grow old and die of old age.
Conjecture, but you talked about Watchers 10 when that Kandahar giant was killed. How old was that really? Was it 3,000 years old?
Because the Bible talks about things living that long.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Methuselah, and yeah.
Well, that's what you think it is.
And are you intimating in the beginning of our conversation that the old God of the Old Testament, the God of the Old Testament that does all the violence and murder and wiping out of cities, is he killing Nephilim or killing?
That's exactly what he's doing. Once you plug the Nephilim in there,
it all starts to make sense.
Who's pounding what?
It's not coming from me.
I'm sorry that somebody is pounding something.
It's like what?
My producer is running to fix whatever it is.
So the bottom line.
I hope it's not them.
They're breaking through.
The only time the God of the Bible acts like that is when the Nephilim are there. It's the seed war. And he acts. And he says, nope, not going there. Look, this is a really deep conversation.
Of course.
I mean, it really is.
That's why I want to have it for 7 hours.
Well, we need to, and it's extremely complex. But I've dedicated my life to this. I mean, this is, 30 films, 14 books.
So that's a good question then. In the 30 years that you have, and you mentioned Catalina, and you brought out the exhibit. You mentioned in the Watchers 10 film that you had an opportunity at some point in Catalina to see their secret files or their secret stash 10 or 15 years before you came back. What was in there? Did you see anything in there that was convinced you?
Oh yeah, I mean, the picture I showed you with Ralph Glidden and the 9-foot skeleton, the elongated skulls which were there. There was 6-fingered skeletons. I mean, they were here. And I live in the Santa Monica Mountains in California. When I drive down my hill, I look at Catalina Island. I look at it every day if I drive down the hill.
And you got to flip through like their secret stash for a good 10 hours or something?
What happened was this. I got wind that Ralph Glidden, who was a primitive archaeologist who was on the island of Catalina and the surrounding Channel Islands that go from Santa Barbara down to San Diego, all right? And he was employed by the Hay Museum. The Hay Museum eventually got gobbled up by the Smithsonian. So he was hired by them in 1919, 1921. Archaeology is still in its infant state. So he's out there, and really he's really no more than a glorified gravedigger. But just stop. You can disparage Ralph Glidden, but somehow it's okay when Zawi Hawass, right, opens up a 4,000-year-old tomb and goes down and does exactly the same thing. Somehow Zawi's just this great guy because he's doing this, but Ralph Glidden's a grave robber. Excuse me.
You find King Tut, you're the man. Yeah,
that's my point. Yeah. I mean, it's just like, come on, guys. It's selective enforcement, as it were. So Ralph Glidden has this trunk of records which goes missing for 50 years. And John Boragina finds it way back in the attic of the theater, the Round Theater, the Wrigley Theater on
Catalina Island.
On Catalina Island. I get wind of this. I write a letter. Can I come and look at? No, you can't look at it. Well, please, can I come? No, you can't look at it. Oh, you're building a new museum? Here's $1,000 if I can come and look at it. Come right in, Mr. Marzulli, which was great. I was happy to do that.
That helps.
I flew over, and my guide took me to the museum. And I walked in, and it was closing time. And we went into the back where the vault was. And John Boragina, at that time, the curator said, "What do you want to see? Show me the photographs." He goes into the vault, takes out museum boxes, places them on a table. My camera's set up. There's 2 8-foot tables with white cloth on them, white paper on them. And I'm off to the races. I find pay dirt within an hour or two. I find that 9-footer. I find the 6 fingers, the elongated skulls, this whole deal. I mean, I'm just sitting there going, you've got to be kidding me.
And when you go to that museum now, they don't show any of that stuff?
Well, this is the deal. They did and they didn't. Remember, I showed you the picture where it was redacted. Yeah. So we filmed that. My late business partner, Richard Shaw, and I, we filmed that. That went absolutely viral because what are you guys trying to cover up? Last time I was there, which was years ago, by the way, they had the picture that I had discovered, and it was blown up really big, like 4 feet high, 3 feet wide, something like that, really big. But they said nothing about the giant that you were looking at. And now all that's gone, and there's no exhibit on Ralph Glidden.
So the Smithsonian are hiding these giants. Who is behind? Is it the Nephilim and their offspring that are in our governments and in our societies that are keeping their existence secret? Is that what you think?
It's that's a really deep question, and honestly, that's a conspiracy rabbit hole which we can.
But why don't they want us to even know they exist? Why the secret? Why the secrecy?
I'll tell you why. The world as we know it, the scientific community and academia, the overarching paradigm in both of those schools, for lack of a better word, is the Darwinian paradigm. And the Darwinian paradigm says no supernatural, no God of creation, no miracles, nothing like that. There's only the empirical and evolution, which happened over millions of years, which completely contradicts the Bible, which says in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. By him, all things were created, and without him, nothing that was made was not made. I mean, we either believe that the Word Jesus spoke everything into existence, or we believe the fallacy of the Darwinian paradigm. And we now know Darwin knew nothing about the complexity of the DNA double helix of life. We knew nothing about it. Now we know that every living thing on this planet has a code. And the neo-Darwinists are looking at this going, this just didn't happen by chance. Somebody made this thing. Somebody created this very complex code, the DNA code, which is in every living thing on the planet. And so the neo-Darwinists are looking to the stars, panspermia, for our creators. But as a biblical literalist, I already know who created me. We are made in the image and likeness of God. I mean, I already know that. And you know, I have a spirit, I have a soul, and I have a body.
But
and
what I appreciate about you is you say you're a biblical literalist, but you don't believe like man and the dinosaurs walked around together. You don't believe. I mean, what I love is scientists that actually make it through academia. And you're totally right. It seems like the more educated people you meet with the more doctorates and the more Yale, Harvard educated folks seem to be, for some reason, atheist. It's like it's pushed on them. It's very odd. I do find that very odd. The more you seem to learn, the less you seem to believe in a creator or a God.
I agree.
One thing my mother told me, Adam and Eve were not created as infants, right? They weren't born and then they were created in what we might call adults. I don't know if it was 20s, 30s, but they were adults. They were created as adults. And my mother said if Adam and Eve were created as adults, and I was raised Christian because I had all these scientific questions, right? She said, then why wouldn't they be on an adult Earth? A young Earth, which would have been volcanic and all of the, would not have been hospitable to life. So if God can create an adult man, an adult woman from his rib, then he can create an adult Earth, which, if man lives 100 years and they were created at 30 or 40, then an Earth that would be, 8 billion years, and right now it's 4 billion supposedly, he may have created an adult Earth for the adult people. And so when we go back and we try to look at how old the Earth is, we're getting wrong information. Now she was not a scientist. That was just something she hypothesized to me one time. And I
does the Bible actually spit out how old the Earth is?
No, it doesn't. What we do know is this, and people will argue this, and that's fine. But I believe it's a recreation. Something very cataclysmic has happened because the Earth is without form and void, but it's there. And then there's a recreation. The work of G.H. Pember talks about this, Earth's Earliest Ages. Must-read book. I think that this whole thing is very new. The Earth is very old. The dinosaurs happened well in advance of human beings, and that's why the whole thing was destroyed. That's a 3-hour conversation. We have 10 minutes left. This ain't going to happen. But the bottom line is, this is the new creation. When you even go back to Göbekli Tepe, which, again, and this is really deep stuff. It's buried, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
It's hidden. It's hidden.
And only 10% has been dug up, right?
Yeah. I can't tell you how many times I've heard this.
So do you think we get reset every number of years?
No. This thing is, we're in a cosmic war. It's move, counter move. I wrote a book called The Cosmic Chess Match. Move, counter move, counter move. The protocols of a heavenly war between the dragon, his rebellious angels, Most High God, El Shaddai. There's protocols here. Just like in the book of Job, you can do this, and this, but you can't kill him. That's a protocol. And so the dragon kills his wife, not his wife, kills his sons and daughters, wipes everything out, blah, 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 infects him with boils, can't kill him. That's the protocol. You say, well, why would God allow that? Because Job is the one guy, he's sort of like, he's our test case, because that's what the dragon wants to do to all of us, if he could. But God says, no, you can't do that. So the protocols are move, counter move, counter move. When Jesus is born, let me just say this, because I'm down to a couple of minutes here.
I know, but this is so fascinating. And thank you so much for taking time on your birthday.
Let's have me back.
Yeah, let's do it again.
It goes on and on and on. Let me ask you guys this. Can you kill God?
I doubt it.
Okay. Tyson, can you kill God?
You cannot kill him, but you can manipulate his word to where people think he doesn't.
That's not
exist.
what we're saying. Can you kill God?
No, you cannot kill God.
Okay.
No.
So Jesus is fully God and fully man. and he's on the cross, and Mary and John are at the foot of the cross along with Mary Magdalene.
Yes.
And they're all going, and the crowd is yelling, "Come down. You saved others. Come down. Come down." And Mary knows who he is. John knows who he is. No doubt about it. And they're all going like, "Okay, it's getting late. He's got to come down soon."
Spear in the rib, still.
Right. He doesn't come down. He doesn't come down. And no one, the dragon didn't see that. No one got it, because you can't kill God, right? You can't kill him. But he's fully God and fully man. The body lies in the tomb. That's the Shroud of Turin. Look at the scourge marks. This is our new film that we're working on.
Oh,
well, hold on though. I'm going to stop you there. I don't. Do you believe the Shroud of Turin is the shroud that covered Jesus Christ?
Do me a favor.
Because
no, Tyson, go to shroud.com and spend an hour, and then we'll talk.
Okay.
But
okay.
We'll bring that up. Doing this for 40
There's been
years.
a lot of tests, and I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just saying
all the C14 tests were
more.
completely debunked. Completely debunked. That's another 3-hour conversation. Look at that. Look at the scourge marks.
Oh, no. I believe that the Shroud of Turin is beautifully done, and
that's him, right there.
Yeah,
that's him.
I would.
That's.
By the way, there's an old joke that at Mar-a-Lago when they change the sheets, it always looks like the Shroud of Turin.
Oh my God! The orange. Okay. Do you think Trump is one of the hybrids? Yeah.
No, I don't.
You think he's one of?
Because it's 6:44 and I gotta go.
All right, hold on. Do we have people lined up? Can you just tell them that next time, Catie?
Yeah, have me come back. Seriously, I love it. You guys are great.
Oh,
let me just talk about the drones real quick.
Okay.
I wrote about this over 15 years ago in Politics, Prophecy, and Supernatural. When the old Soviet Union collapsed, there were dirty nukes. All right, there were suitcase nukes that were being sold on the black market. Now, these are not suitcase nukes. Don't create a mushroom cloud.
Right.
If you put some C4 against them and blow them up, you basically got mini Chernobyl.
You can take down a building. Yeah.
Well, not only take down a building, you're going to irradiate.
It's the radiation that you have to worry about. Yeah.
It's like Chernobyl, you're going to radiate.
Melt. Yeah.
Yes.
I wrote about this years ago. These drones, in my opinion, still too early to tell, are sniffers. They've been tipped off. Our government has been tipped off, which is why they're not being blown. Look, if these were adversaries, you'd have attack helicopters and jets blowing these things out of the sky. That's not what's going on. They're looking for something because our intel, it's conjecture, our intel has been tipped off that there are radiological bombs and perhaps even live nukes embedded in the cities.
And in the cities where? Everywhere?
Right here in the United States and over in Europe too.
Okay, so you think, all right, this is the last question for you. The last question, and I'll let you go. As far as the nuclear topic, UFOs, UAPs, if these are what you say they are, have turned off our nuclear facilities, shown the power over our nuclear weapons many, many times. So these drones that you're talking about, are you talking about UAPs? What are the drones?
I think the drones are from us.
Okay.
I think they're looking for radiological.
They're looking for where these missing weapons are.
But in the book, the new book, number 14, Rungs of Disclosure, this is it right here. Shoot me an email with your address. I'll send you a free copy.
Awesome, I will.
I'll get 2 copies. But they are, and you talked about the UAPs, UFOs coming over the nuclear sites. We broke the story in our watches with Robert Salas, who was the base commander at the Maelstrom base when the UFO appeared and shut off all 10 intercontinental ballistic missiles.
Yeah.
I'll leave that for next time because that's a huge
why
deal.
They're doing it?
Yeah, huge deal.
All right. Well, we can't wait to have you back. Thanks for your time, LA Marzulli.
Love it.
I find this topic so interesting that
we can talk for 6 hours.
What we do here on Dangerous Thoughts, honestly, is sometimes we do a show where it's just me and Tyson and the crowd from the universe, and we come in and we talk about something. Sometimes we have on guests for an hour, and then once every 5 weeks we drop a long show with a guest. I would love to have you on for
Let's do a long show.
a
Let's
really
get it
long
on the
show,
books.
and I'll do a lot of work on questions, and we'll have a great
Sounds good.
conversation.
I'm all in, guys.
Thanks for joining us, LA. If you
Alrighty.
want to check out LA's further work, look in the description below. Go to his
There we
website,
go.
buy his books, watch his movies. We all have to eat, and lots of
Eating
love
is
to
good.
you. And we all have to survive. And he does it in a wonderful way. He runs around the world looking for angels and Nephilim and proof of the wild weirdness out there. You already asked the question that I always ask our guests before they leave. What do you think the nature of this reality is? You've already done that. So we'll give you a good evening. Thanks so much for coming on. We'll see you next
Thanks,
time.
guys.
LA.
God bless
Thank
you
you.
both. Take care.
I miss your city as well. I haven't been back to LA for like months. I need to go home. Maybe have lunch with that dude. Smart guy. I quite a theory too. You know, I wish I could have asked him like, what's the end game for the hybrid program? You know, what do you think? What do these Nephilim want in the end? What's their? Is it the old bullshit of like
And that's
collecting
the question, right?
souls? You know.
So if they, I guess when they die, they become a spirit. That's what he said. There's no soul, but there is a living spirit that
residual-
continues.
It's
Right. It
earthbound.
becomes a
It
demon.
can't leave.
That's what a demon. But do they have age limits? Like, do they die when they turn 85 years old, like a human does, or do they live to be 1,000 years old? Do they, they don't die unless they're killed? I have so many questions.
Another thing I wanted to get into was if they're here, which he thinks they are, and they're walking among us, and they're manipulating our reality, and they're making us do all sorts of things. Are they they must be a part of the elite? They must be running the show. And what kind of things are they doing to us? What kind of things does he think they're doing to us to derail us from our spiritual journey, from what our soul's supposed to be doing?
You know what I forgot to ask him?
Huh.
If he watched Good Omens and if he liked it.
Oh,
I
must have. I love that show. But that show is sort of like, hey, let's make a mockery of all things in a way.
Season 3 is coming next year, and I cannot wait. It's only going to be a 2-hour like movie. It's not going to be like a 6-episode. It's just going to be a 1-2-hour movie. But
I think there's a demon in this house, man, because something has been messing with either my camera or my light the whole time.
I'm pretty sure it's that jacket that you're wearing.
It's just like flickering and catching the.
Yeah, what is with the Elton John jacket? I love it.
It's a walking mirror ball.
It's like Elton John. All you need are the glasses.
Oh, you're right. It did just catch the lens. It is my jacket. That's funny. I'm so slow. That's why I need smart guys on my show to tell me what the hell's going on. So, I mean, what an answer. The universe is limited. It's all bullshit. There's no life out there. There's only life here. That's for me, that's such a hard place to go to for sure, because what all of mainstream science is telling me is there's millions upon millions of universes and stars and things out there. It's so hard for me to believe that this is it.
I respect his opinion.
I do too.
His opinion. I believe that there are extraterrestrials. I do believe there's life on other planets. That's my opinion.
Me too.
I just, but I am still curious about, because in everything he says, there is a nugget of truth that in my head, I say, I can latch onto that. Like, I get that. I do believe that.
Your Christian
That's a good point.
is
I'm
not even raised Christian, and I find myself going,
right.
Yeah, maybe it's both. That's why I asked him. Maybe it's both. Maybe extraterrestrials are visiting, and the God's war is happening here, and maybe it's happening on other planets as well. Maybe this this war is not just about the humans here on Earth, but in the other 100 million Earth 2 and Earth 3 and Earth 4s in the quantum verse. Like he said, these things seem to come in and control space-time, and this is. He believes this in the concept of the simulation theory, that these things are coming from somewhere else and leaving and taking, they can bend time, bend our reality even. I really wanted to ask him your question, but once he said he didn't believe in extraterrestrials,
well, right. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I wanted to ask him when does if we make an
But that's-
AI and an AI learns how to bend space-time, did we create a god?
But he might be partially right. So let's say he believes in all that, but also there is life on other planets in addition to everything, in addition to the Nephilim, in addition to because I think we have too much proof. Like, we know Mars is a real place. It's not a hologram. We've landed, probes there. I believe that the universe is huge. It's so many galaxies. I cannot believe God made all of this for one teeny little planet, one little, and all the
we
makings
found
for life are out there.
exoplanets beyond our so we know other planets exist. But are
Cassie,
they all
what
made
was
of
that?
light? What'd you say, Cassie?
Jesus is in the chat. We can ask him.
Oh, cool. Jesus has the answer.
No,
So
no.
let's ask-
Jesus too is in the chat. I don't know. If that's Jesus. But yeah,
What if
I
it
think
was? We'd have a great show.
It probably is.
Oh.
We're all going to hell right now because we're just blowing it off.
We're just blowing it off. It's just
Really
Jesus. Jesus is here to answer our questions tonight. And of course, what do men do? Fuck it.
That's not Jesus.
That's not Jesus. Shut up.
Hold my beer and watch this. Yeah, that's the. But all the compounds that we're made out of, all the molecules, all the this is found throughout the universe. You can find water throughout the universe. You can find amino acids throughout the universe. You can find the proto makings of the deoxyribonucleic acid throughout the universe. So I think there's potential for life outside.
But right, all right. I'm not this Mr. Science, but I do understand also that like light waves and beams and molecules moving at different speeds create the illusion of thickness and mass and all of that stuff. So it could be
energy and mass is interchangeable. E equals mc squared. Energy is equal to mass at the speed of light to the second power. By the way, I don't think this will work because you can't read the screen here. You know what that says?
What?
Catalina.
Catalina.
That's the Catalina repeater. That's the Catalina.
Supposedly the giants were hanging out. The Nephilim were parked out there. And to this day, lots of UAPs come out of the oceans between LA and Catalina and San Diego. That's where the Tic Tac incident recently happened. And people in my old neck of the woods in Malibu are always seeing shit come out of the water and between Catalina and the coast of LA. So UAPs are very active there. He definitely has a lot of good points about, I wish I just don't quite yet understand. And I guess that's where we left it with him. Was what's the end game? What do these things want? Why are they keeping themselves hidden?
Why would I still don't understand why they have reproductive organs? Like angels, why would they have reproductive organs if not to reproduce?
Yeah.
Why would God have created them with reproductive organs if he said, I'm going to give you a penis, please don't use it?
Don't use it, though. Don't use it. Just look at it and appreciate it.
Yeah, and then are there only male angels or are there female angels? And can they make cherubs? I don't know.
Yeah, no.
Where cherubs come from? Two adult have a baby angel, now you have a cherub. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I sort of want to go back to the Bible with this idea that it's a war, and God is on the side of wiping out the bad angels' procreations. That's a big jump for me, but I read the Bible when I was 20 once from front to back, so that's about the limits of my knowledge. I remember a few things, not much, and then what the church says here and there, I listen to. But there's certainly some secrets. I wanted to ask him about the Masons and whether he thinks they're keeping secrets of this type. Who has the answers? And if it's, I guess logically, he would probably say that the secret keepers are the Nephilim themselves and their offspring. But I thought your question was pretty fantastic. Well, when do you? How many generations down do you kind of get a soul all of a sudden?
Well, yeah. Well, and he said
Do they
that, you know,
only fuck within their own?
well, he said they don't reproduce, like a mule
they-
is sterile. Yeah. So once you have a Nephilim, once an angel and a human have a Nephilim,
but
Nephilim can't reproduce.
But he's saying it's the end times, and the
He's saying-
Nephilim are actually having hybrids now, and the hybrids can reproduce. That's what he thinks, and that they're walking among us.
Yeah, and he did say though that is conjecture. He says, I don't believe they, but let's assume he's wrong for a moment, and they could reproduce. Then you could have somebody who's a quarter Nephilim, an eighth Nephilim, a 16th Nephilim, and eventually 1/1000th Nephilim. And to what point do you now have a soul? Are you mostly human? They say Neanderthals still exist within the Homo sapiens sapien race.
I'm living proof of that. Just talk to me for an hour.
Many of us have like 1% Neanderthal DNA in our bodies, so it's possible. It's possible. Anyway,
Hey Tyson,
hilarious.
You want to do another Dangerous Thoughts next week? What should we talk about? Demons, angels?
Oh, next week. Thank you for bringing that up. Next week is our holiday special, December 22nd. We're going to be talking about Christmas. We're going to be talking about winter holidays, things like Hanukkah, Christmas, Saturnalia. Where did it come from? What about the winter solstice and pagans? And so it's going to be a great show. I'm so excited.
Yeah,
it's just you and me, Manu. Just you and me.
Well, just you and me, and we also skipped the stuff we always say on the show. Which, if you're still watching, please subscribe to the channel. Please check out the links below. Catie's Corner, DangerousThoughts.show. Go to the website, check stuff out. For the last couple weeks, we really want you to be a part of the show and help us make this show better. And so we're going to start asking you to go to the website, take a look at some of the merch we have. And pretty soon I'm going to start asking you guys to pitch in and make this show better, because the bigger budget, we have no budget for this show. We get these amazing guests. We have all these amazing people working with us, from Mala to Catie to I don't want to name them all, but you know who you are.
And we make this much money.
And we make this much, and we spend more than that bringing you this show every week. So definitely check out DangerousThoughts.show. We'll have merch up very soon, and we'll have ways for you to contribute, not only through financial ways and money transfer, but also through ideas. Become a part of the DT fam. Help us make the show. Pitch in. There's a lot of stuff and a lot of work to be done every week to get people on the program and to make this show crack. So until next time, keep thinking dangerously. This has been an episode of Dangerous Thoughts with L.A. Marzulli. Check out all his stuff. Don't touch your penis or your vagina. We'll see you next week.
Get dead on the ass.
Take it to them. Ruin their motivation to survive. Robbers hide is like a jungle holding rest of a nation. You couldn't hold me like a tongue, your knees collapsing away. Hey, gorilla hearted, I beating my chest to stay alive. Take it to them. Ruin their motivation to survive. Robbers hide is like a jungle holding rest of a nation. You couldn't hold me like a tongue, your knees collapsing away. Gorilla hearted, I beating my chest to stay alive. Hey.
Well,